Printmaker Dave Bull again, back with the next episode in our epic journey to create our modern reproduction of Hokusai's famous Great Wave design. I have to apologize for being a bit much of a talking head in these recent videos. I have a wonderful HD camera here, but really haven't put it to very good use just yet. Hopefully that will now change as I finally get a chance to get to my carving bench and put knife into the wood. Near the end of the previous video, you saw a printout. You saw me take printouts from my laser printer of the actual hanshita. Now actually I took 2 copies. This isn't essential, but it does make one step much easier. Let's see how. One of the copies I have peeled away from the backing paper. This is a hanshita just as it appeared back in the old days, the image being drawn directly onto the thin gambi paper with a brush. It's very difficult to handle, and the job of pasting it down onto the wood was one that was reserved for the most experienced men in the workshop. Distortion at this stage would mean, of course, distortion in the finished print. Now, I sometimes don't mind living dangerously, but for this job I use a system that guarantees much more accurate results. I'll first use the thin loose copy to check the surface of the wood, making sure that any defects, of which there are always some, don't line up with important areas of the design. Look at this spot. There's an actual hole in the wood here, caused by some kind of problem while the tree was growing. Checking with the hanshita, I can see that the defect falls in an open area of the design, and will thus be cut away safely. There's another hard spot, somewhere about here, but I don't think it will cause trouble. Once I verified it's okay to proceed, I then put the mounted copy of the hanshita in place and tape it along one side of the block to ensure that it won't move during the next step. Flipping it back out of the way, I then apply glue to the wood surface, lightly moistening the wood first. For color blocks, which have no delicate lines, it's customary to use a standard Japanese soft paste. But for a key block like this, I use a slightly thinned white wood glue. I find that if I use a weak paste, the paper sometimes peels away later while I'm cutting thin lines. But this type of glue will hold it securely. Not too much, not too little. It's a question of experience. Once the surface is prepared, I roll the sheet into place and rub it down firmly with my barren. This next part needs careful timing, and move forward too quickly and the paper will be lifted off the block. Wait too long and everything will be too dry and hard. I peel back the mounting sheet, rolling it off at a sharp angle to avoid pulling the gambi off the wood. It sometimes comes off smoothly, other times I have to tear it off piece by piece. The next stage is important and difficult. Thin as the gambi paper is, I want to thin it down even more. While it is still damp from moisture in the glue, I begin to rub with my fingers, breaking up the fiber mat of the paper from the back. It begins to come apart and I gently continue to rub and peel, gradually removing most of the paper. Rub too much and the image will peel off the wood. Rub too hard and the paper may slide on the surface, distorting the image. But rub just right and, well, it's just right. Eventually we are left with pretty much nothing but the lines of the image clearly visible on the surface of the cherry. And the last step before actual carving can begin is, of course, sharpening my tools, getting them ready for the job. And, as you can see, I've joined the modern world here, and I'm using a steel sharpening plate. It's a double-sided plate. It gives me a rough stone, can I call it? A rough stone, a medium stone. For the final stage on each knife, of course, I still use a natural stone. I find this the best way to finish the process. I've got no idea what grit it is. It's very fine, and it needs that Nagara mud on it to give it its effectiveness. Not very many strokes are necessary, just a few. It's quite a light touch too. I'm not pressing very hard. And the process ends with a couple of very delicate strokes on the back at a slight angle, just to take the sharpest edge off. And then, with all that preparation done, the moment that we've all been waiting for, myself included, for over a month now, let's get started on the carving. I'm not going to explain much about this process here tonight. Cutting this block is going to take quite a while, so I'll save some of the technical explanations for the next couple of episodes. For now, I think I'll just let you watch for a few minutes. It's very quiet and peaceful and stress-free work, and I'm very much looking forward to the next couple of weeks as I gradually expand the carved area on this block, centimeter by centimeter, starting at that central wave and working towards the outside. And I'll bring a couple of reports, as I said, I'll bring a couple of reports as we move along and explaining some of the different points about how this is being done. And that's enough for tonight. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll end as usual by going outside, although the first thing you're going to see as we go outside the door is about 20 seconds from my front door. Yes, it's a wonderful display of tropical fish, apparently quite rare tropical fish. Just where is this? Let's take the camera back a few seconds again, right to my front door. Yes, we go back. This is my building, of course. There's our second floor. Pan the camera down, and you can see we're squeezed between a shoe store on the left and a funky little jewelry store downstairs. And if we pan the camera up the road, we'll see in the distance that place that we've talked about before, the famous Don Quixote. And yes, at their entrance, flanking the entrances, one large one on each side and more scattered around the shop, are some tropical fish tanks. The clerks actually wouldn't let me film inside. I don't know why shops have that rule, but anyway, I couldn't go inside, so we'll have to make do with the neon outside. Across the street from them, on the other side of the left, is the very famous Enge Hall. It's a very thriving vaudeville hall. Rakugo, jugglers, song and dance men, comedians. And I tell you, the crowds line up here many mornings at 6 o'clock in the morning, rain or shine, to get the good seats.